I know this might sound crazy, but there's a lot of entrepreneurs, coaches, even sales professionals that feel that sales is a bad thing. So I had to reframe their mindset to, Eric, you're helping people. You're solving a problem. They're going to buy from someone else. So they might as well buy from you. Why? Because you're ethical, you're moral, and you have their interest in heart. And if you have those three things right, you're doing it fine. And it's just getting them to understand that they can charge a good rate because they're doing what they need to do. Because again, you know this in entrepreneurial space, you meet these people that have these great ideas and all, and then they're like, well, I don't know if I can charge $5,000 for coaching, or I don't know if I can charge $10,000 for this software system, because they've had this thought in their head that sales is a bad thing. But when it's problem solving and helping the customer and treating them how you want to be treated, that's the biggest mind shift that I've seen people have to do.
Hey guys, this episode is sponsored by Tranquil Turtle Massage. Tracy over there, the founder, she's a small town girl from Montana, loves God, loves her family, loves her friends, loves working out, fishing, and camping. She has a passion for helping those in need and enjoys being creative with woodworking, crocheting, healthy baking, pottery, and cooking. Look, she began her massage journey back in 2010, where she graduated from massage school up in Anchorage, Alaska. She specializes in her signature massages, the Hanu infusion and the Hanu ashiatsu, as well as the gua sha and manual lymphatic drainage. If you're looking for a massage specialist and someone who can get you feeling good, go see Tracy down at Tranquil Turtle Massage. And while you're there, check out CDA Microblading, offering Coeur d'Alene's best tattoo brows, plasma fibroblast, tightening, and PMU services right there in the heart of downtown Coeur d'Alene. Make sure you book your appointment at pnwmobilemassage.com. Joe, you're a husband, you're a dad, you're the host of the 150K podcast, you're a sales coach and consultant, and much more, man. Thank you for your time, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate being on the show, Eric. Thank you so much.
I love to go back with my guests. Like, where did you grow up? What's childhood like for you, man?
Well, I grew up actually in Michigan, in the country. So there are country people in Michigan as well. Most people don't think that way. Yeah. Grew up in a small country town. It's kind of funny. I was supposed to do the whole go get a job, stay there, get married, yada, yada. I actually did get married to my youth group sweetheart, not my high school. I met her at my church. Okay. And we've been married 21 years this July. So that part I did, but the rest of it, I didn't do the work in a factory till you die type of thing that most of my, no offense to him, but most of my friends from high school are still doing.
It's the same thing, man. I grew up in Eastern Washington, and I just know so many people who just got stuck there, man. And it's just wild to see that, and some of them have great lives there, but it's just as interesting that, I was one of the few that escaped, right?
Yeah. Well, and it's crazy. Like I moved 1,000 miles away from where I originally grew up. I think actually 1,100 miles. Okay. So I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area now, and I love this area.
Nice. Who, as a kid, was your biggest influencer?
Ooh, as a kid, honestly, would have been my pastor, because his name was Sam Chan, from India. And so kind of just a little weird not bad, weird, but like I grew up as I was born in 77. So grew up in the 80s and 90s. And he was probably the first person that I had met from outside of my little country town. And it was kind of crazy cool, because back then it was a little bit weird. Not weird in my way, but people he was married to a white woman. He's from India. That was weird to them. Not weird to me. I think that's great. Doesn't bug me at all. But he just taught me, treat people well, love well, just be respectful. And he was probably the first influential person I've seen, because he was speaking and stuff. So as a kid and growing up, probably the first person would be him.
That's awesome. I mean, you've been in sales for 15 plus years. Sales is tough, man. And a lot of people end up quitting. I know that I've quit sales jobs over the years, man. I've been doing sales for 20 plus years. And, what is the key that has kept you going? And why do you think you've been so successful at it, man?
Well, in the beginning, I sucked. The key was I didn't quit. Literally, I'm too stubborn to quit to begin with. That's what it was. I'm like, well, crap, this person's making money. Why am I not? And then I just started leveling up. And then I started making crazy paychecks that I couldn't make just going and working in a set position. Plus, I didn't have a degree or a background to a lawyer or a doctor where I could use that. So, and then I just fell in love with helping people. And it became a passion because you've been in sales for 20 years. You can make those money to go get the big checks, go do the fun stuff. But then after that, what are you going to do? Yeah. Well, I found my passion is to help people get to take their family to Disney or do whatever they want to do in life. So That's what's kept me there.
Yeah.
And I'm consistent.
Yeah.
Like
I think
boringly consistent.
consistency is key, man, for sure, dude. I mean, for me, like I'm big on my morning routines and that it all has to be the same, man. It's all about those habits. Like, but for you, man, what's your morning routine look like?
Oh, this is funny. My routines are more in the afternoon. So my morning routine is I get up at 6.
Okay.
I get a cup of coffee because my wife got me this also espresso machine. I get in my car and I listen to a podcast. So that first hour of the day, I'm driving into work, 40 minutes, whatever. I'm listening to a podcast. It could be anyone from Ed Milet to George Bryant to your show to just something that's going to get me in that right mindset.
Yeah.
A lot of times I try to read, but I'm probably about 2 to 3 days a week I'm reading before I leave. So I'm not perfect in the morning routines, but in the afternoons when I get home, that's when I'll do my workouts. I'll do you see me walk a lot if you follow my social media.
Yep.
Just different things that way that I get into my routine or thing, but I'm not your typical morning routine guy. I am definitely not your 5 a.m. guy. I know it works great for people and I'm totally support them.
Yeah.
I've tried it and I just fall back asleep.
Right. Yeah. It's tough sometimes, man. That's for sure, dude.
Well, I think you got to find what works for you. That's the key.
Yep.
As a business owner, as an entrepreneur, what works for you that's going to make you be successful?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and my wife, she's a night person, man. Like, you know, and I know there's a lot of, you know, big name entrepreneurs like Grant Cardone and, you know, Sean Whalen and Bradley. They all need that like 8 hours, 9 hours of sleep, right? They're not like super early risers. And, you know, like you said, man, you got to find what works best for you. Like I mentioned, you are a sales coach, you're a consultant. Your agency is called 150K Consulting, where you help your clients take their dreams to 6 figures and beyond. When you work with clients, what is the biggest struggle that you hear them come to you with, and how do you get them through that?
Feeling sales is icky. I know this might sound crazy, but there's a lot of entrepreneurs, coaches, even sales professionals that feel that sales is a bad thing. So I had to reframe their mindset to, Eric, you're helping people. You're solving a problem. They're going to buy from someone else. So they might as well buy from you. Why? Because you're ethical, you're moral, and you have their interest in heart. And if you have those 3 things right, you're doing it fine. And it's just getting them to understand that they can charge a good rate because they're doing what they need to do. Because again, you know this in the entrepreneurial space, you meet these people that have these great ideas and all, and then they're like, well, I don't know if I can charge $5,000 for coaching, or I don't know if I can charge $10,000 for this software system, because they've had this thought in their head that sales is a bad thing. But when it's problem solving and helping the customer and treating them how you want to be treated, that's the biggest mind shift that I've seen people have to do. I mean, I can train them in the techniques. I can train you in closing, follow up, doing all that. But that's the biggest block I run into.
Do you think that do you think anybody can do sales, or they're just people that are just born naturally and they have that kind of instinct built into them?
Both. So there are natural born salespeople. There's just people that, like, I grew up doing sales, not knowing I was going to be a salesperson. Like I was the kid that sold the candy bar, did the stuff.
Yeah.
But when I first started doing sales, I sucked. I was horrible. I didn't know what to do. Totally. I was freaking out, just tripping out, following the flip chart that they were trying to train me to do. But over time, you can learn and level up and grow. Going back to, like you said, to that morning routine of what you're doing. Like I'm very big on reading books. I'm very big on podcasting, finding the right person to help me level up, and then time blocking. That has been my biggest successful thing. Like I time block the heck out of things. And
yeah, if it's not on your calendar or my calendar, man, I feel like I'm lost. You know, like over the last year, I've started to get really dialed in on my calendar and make sure that everything is on there. And, you know, occasionally we miss something, but most of the time, if it's on my calendar, it's not going to get missed there.
Yeah. Well, it helped me go from hitting quota, which was like at 100%, to last year I was at 170% because I time blocked. So within a 3-year period, I increased by 70% in sales. That's like crazy. Like that's what my manager's number, he said. Because I still work in corporate America as well. So like last year I finished 170% the plan, but it's because I put myself in this structure. And people don't like it, but here's the little simple key. Success is boring. It's doing the right things over and over so that you get the results you need. And once you do that, you can replicate it. It's not sexy. It's not fun, but that's how you win.
Yes. Oh, that's so good, man. It's so good. Every person that you listen to, you know, like Ed Milet or Tony Robbins, they all say the same thing, like success leaves clues, man. And then and if we can just tag on to that, and start to implement some of that into our daily lives as salespeople or entrepreneurs or podcasters, man, the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
And man, it's so good to just hear someone else say that and be on that same page, because absolutely, man, I'm 100% agree with you on that. I wanted to shift over to your podcast because you got this podcast called 150K Podcast. I've been a guest on the show.
Mm-hmm.
You're extremely professional with your show, by the way. I did 117 interviews, as you know, in 2021. I saw a lot of shows that sucked, and I saw a lot of shows that were great, man. And the show that I was on with you, definitely the top 5, shows that I was on.
I appreciate that.
Man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. And I legitimately mean that. Like, I saw a lot of crazy, horrible, unprofessional shows that I was on, but you know what? It was part of that journey that I just wanted to go on and test the waters and see, like, how can I improve? How can I tweak things, man? It was so cool. But I got to say, man, your show is awesome. People need to be listening to this. But what was it that made you decide to start this show? How has it helped you in your business, man? And is there something that a guest said to you that's just really stuck with you?
Mm-hmm. Sure. So it's kind of funny you said that. I started the show last June. I just released episode 59. And really what happened was I started breaking the 100K barrier about 3-4 years ago consistently. I'd done it in the past in my sales thing, but not consistent. I finally cracked the code. Well, and I'm sitting there going, I just got to take my kids to Disney. We just went to Hawaii. We did all these fun things that we want to do, which you should do if you can. Wouldn't it be great to help other people do that? Yeah. But I know not everyone's a salesperson. So I bring people on from a lot of different backgrounds, from podcasting to CFOs to pretty much any different areas that can help people break that barrier. That was kind of the idea of the show. So I did that. I got on there, and then to help me, I just started getting people on that I wanted to learn from. I'm like, cool, you know what? I need help with podcasting. I had you on the show. I need help with, finance. I had a CFO on the show. I need help with dealing with trauma. Like, because, we all deal with trauma as entrepreneurs, people just in general, there's stuff we got to deal with. So I just recently had an episode with a guy named Brian Bogart that just blew my mind. And it wasn't about business. It was about business, but it wasn't about business. It was about, addressing the issues, owning responsibility, and doing what you need to do. Probably the person that's affected me the most, and you hear me talk about him all the time on my show, is George Bryant, is relationships beat algorithms, meaning that it's always customer first. Take care of your customer, take them on the right customer journey, make sure they're taken care of. So the sky's the limit. Ziegler said that too. If you solve people's problems, you won't lack for anything.
Right. Yeah. And, I've heard a few of the guys that I follow, they say relationships is the new currency.
Yeah.
And
it's the old currency. It should have been the currency the whole time, but people just tried to screw it up. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, that's so true though. Like, it did. There was like this time where, back in the Jim Rohn days, man, like that dude, like he knew the same thing. And then, I think there was this weird time where people started to get screwy with their sales tactics, right? And they started, hosing people. And I think that's where we started to see this bad rap come through. But hopefully we can change the game with how we are within our sales careers, right? And what we're doing with podcasting, the people that we're networking with there.
Yeah.
I wanted to touch base because I'll go back a little bit, because you and I, we have a shared faith in Jesus. I gave my life to the Lord in 2004, but I'd love to hear your story, man. How did you come to know the Lord?
Yeah, I grew up in church. So for a while there, it was my parents' religion. It was their thought process. I went to church every Sunday. I did the whole thing. And then I got in honestly, really, I'm thinking about now, probably in my 30s, when I really started actually questioning it to begin with, which, because I think if you can't question something, is it really your faith, or is it what someone's taught you to believe? And I just had this moment where I just knew, and I can't remember which church I was at that point, where it switched from being my parents' faith or the thing I needed to do to, well, Christianity is about relationship. It's about a relationship with Christ. It's about a relationship with God, not about, did I do this right? Did I follow this group or that group right? And then just following, what the Bible says. And that's where it shifted from it being my parents' faith to mine. So it was like a progression, because like for years, people thought I could play the part, and I could play the part with whoever I was around. So if you were a Baptist, I could be Baptist. If you're Pentecostal, I could be Pentecostal. Like I grew up in the church, and they were trying well, that's a funny different story, but we don't have to go there. But it has to become your relationship.
Yes.
Not just your duty, not just something that you do on Sunday, but your relationship. And then I just started talking to God like we're talking here. And like, if I'm mad, I know this might sound funny, I'm just upfront and honest. Like if I'm cussing mad, I'm cussing mad and I'm still talking because he's my father and he understands that. And then there's times where like, it's sweet and I'll put worship music on or whatever, but it's just, I've built that relationship, which works for me, not the, you have to do this or you're wrong type of thing.
Yeah. Oh, totally, man. I'm the same way, man. I grew up going to the church, and then when my parents got divorced, right, we stopped going to church for a really long time. My dad tried to put me back in church when I lived with him, in my early teens, and then I walked away for a long time, man. I was just like living in the world and doing everything that I wanted to. And then I remember I was dating this girl that was a Christian, and I gave my life to Christ when I was like, I don't know, 19 years old. I was dating her, but I didn't do it for me. I did it for her. Right. And so I kind of faked this thing for, 2 years. And I generally felt like I was closer to God, but I wasn't like, it wasn't my relationship. Right. It was my relationship through her. Right. And so, I went and got baptized and all this stuff. And then as soon as we broke up, guess what? I was back to the worldly, walking around, man. And man, 2004 is when I gave my life back to Christ, man. And that was the last time that I really was living in that worldly desire, man, of just the craziness that I was living in. Man, and this year I'm stoked because I'm actually doing a men's mentor group for a full year.
Oh, nice.
We're meeting every 6 weeks and deep diving into stuff, man. And yeah, so I think it's so important to have that solid tribe of men that are just followers of Christ too, man. So I think that's awesome. And then you said you met your wife. She was at a youth group.
Yes. So the youth group that I was going to, we met, she was 17, I was 20, and we were just friends at the time. And here's another funny story. I was a little bit weird back in the day, and I knelt that day in front of her and every girl there, don't marry me unless God tells you to. Just trying to be corny, stupid, you're young and dumb. And she goes, no problem. Well, we became friends. And then like a year later, like we both went on a missions trip and it shifted. And all, but the reason I say this is because like I got saved when I was young, but then it was like, you go through that whole transition stage of what do I really believe? And I think genuinely as Christians, and I agree with you having men, connecting and all, we go through stages of it to where there's times where we're close to God and then there's times where we're not. So I've been saved since I've been younger, but I know that there's been times where I'm just doing what Joe wants to do instead of doing what he needs to do. Yeah. And then I had to come back to that. And it's just kind of that thing. I actually just had a friend of mine refer a book by John Eldridge to me called Fathered by God. I'm reading that right now. I've not read before. I've read Wild at Heart, which is great. Yeah. And I'm all about like the tribe and men and stuff. Yeah. This one's good. It makes you look at it more as and I'm harping on it now, I know, personal relationship compared to you go here, do this exact thing for them. And I think that's the hardest thing I've seen in the Christian church world for a while. Right. Because we make it retail here in the US. Don't we? Oh, we do. What started out in Jerusalem as a relationship, it went to Europe as a religion, and here it's retail. Yeah. Oh man, it's so crazy. I was going to ask you what book you're reading right now, but that one sounds awesome, man. I have to pick I'm reading that one, and then I just finished The Go-Giver. Okay. I don't know if you read that one. That's a really good book. It's on I can't remember his name. I don't have it right in front of me. But it's a really good story form, kind of like what Greg Reed does with his books. Yeah. That same type of story form, but it's called The Go-Giver. I just finished that. And I got Can't Hurt Me by oh my gosh. He is Navy SEAL that's David Goggins. Yeah, I had David to think for a moment. I was I haven't read that book yet, so I just got that one. Oh, nice. I just finished this book. If you haven't read it, it's in a pit with a lion on a snowy day. I've heard of it, but I've not read it. It's my second time reading through it, and it was part of my men's mentor group assignment before our next one. So I read it a while back, and then I just reread it, and man, it is so good. It talks about as men, we should be chasing lions, right? Don't be scared to go after those lions. And man, I think I highlighted probably half this book, man, because I was like, oh my gosh, nice. Just deep diving into, and I'm one of those weird guys who when I read a book, I actually sign the inside of the cover and then date it. And so oddly enough, I did not know that my dad actually does the same thing. And he never told me he did. And I went to his house one time and I flipped open a book. And I was like, what the heck, man? So he does the same thing. So it's kind of funny. That's awesome. No, I write in my books a lot. Yeah. I've never signed them. I don't know. I don't know when I started doing that, probably 10 years ago, but I just wanted to
That way, if I ever go back through, like I can put a date on there and realize,
Mhm.
oh yeah, I read that back then, and I kind of initialed it, but I don't know, it's something that kind of stuck there. But man, as we're getting closer to the end of the show here, I love to kind of finish with a fun question. I'm a big music guy. What's a favorite type of band for you, or favorite type of music that you like?
It's going to be kind of funny. I like Pacific Island music. So like J Boogie and stuff like that. It
Okay.
is a island music, really relaxed, really just mellow. I listen to it when I'm doing emails and stuff. And then I like your typical like worship music sometimes too, with like Oceans, like by Hillsong United, stuff like that as well. But
Yeah.
it just depends on what mood I'm in.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I agree. I think I definitely go through the flux of metal to hip hop to, the old gangster rap, Bone Thugs, bringing that in. So
well, I notice it changes my attitude. So I had to be careful with what I'm listening to, because if I listen to like that grunge metal or stuff, I get angry.
Okay.
And then if I listen to like worship music, it's cool, but I can't do emails and work because I'm like, worship music takes me to a different place.
Yeah.
So the island music seems to like mellow me out, and I can do my stuff without being distracted.
Yeah, it's weird.
My work music.
For me, when I'm reading, I actually turn on like EDM, like no lyrics, just like just dance beats, right? And that helps my mind to read the books and things like that. Unless I'm doing an audiobook, obviously I can't do that. I just started really doing audiobooks earlier this year, and I figured out how to read books twice as fast doing audiobooks. And simply because I was watching these books, or I was listening to these books on normal speed. And I was like, man, this is like 8 hours of this audio. I wonder if my brain can accept if I up the speed a little bit. Yeah. And so I slowly went up to like 1.5, and then I went up to 2 times. And my brain took a couple days to get used to it. But now I can listen to audiobooks on 2x. And,
wow.
And so I'm reading Atomic Habits right now
I finished that. That's a good book. That's a really good book.
So like the audio version is 5.5 hours, but with me, I turn it on 2x and I get it done in 2.5 hours.
Yeah, no, I love that book. I finished that 2.5 months ago.
Oh,
like
nice.
I highlighted it. That's a great book.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good, man. So good. I'm only on chapter 2 right now, but I'm already loving it, man. Yeah. But Joe, such an honor to have you on my show, man. Where can folks follow, connect, and reach out to you to work with you at?
Sure. 150K podcast. It's the easiest place. Spotify, Anchor, pretty much anywhere they're at. On Instagram, it's 150K podcast. On Facebook, it's 150K podcast. Try to keep it real simple. And then all my information's there. It's my DM. So if you reply to me, I reach out back to you.
Nice, man. Oh, again, Joe, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join me on the show. Such an honor, man. You're an absolute world changer. I love the sales tips you dropped today. And man, excited to see what you got going on in 2022, man. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show, Eric. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for checking out the show today. I wanted to just take one quick second of your time to point you to ericallenmedia.com. I have a ton of free and paid content on our resources tab. Click on that. Tons of books, tons of websites you can go check out. Some secret websites in there as well for you. But listen, I am available for hire for anything from product videos to content videos, review videos. I do a lot of how-to and explainer type videos, box opening videos for brands. I also do laser engraving for anything that's wood product. So if you need some, coasters made or fun tags or something like that, shoot me a DM. Happy to help you out. You can check out some of my work on our YouTube channel there. Really appreciate you checking out the show today. Thank you so much for your time. Have an amazing day.